Today we will have a problem on resolution of forces. So already we have solved the numericals related with the resolution of forces. In previous lectures I have shown the problem related with the resolution of forces. So again we will have some more problems on resolution of forces. So here I am having a figure related with which we have drawn with x and y axis. So here while resolving the forces along x and y axis, we have to keep in mind the some things related with the resolution of forces. So here there are four different forces are there. Force P is there, which has been making an angle of 30 degrees with horizontal. 200 Newton it is acting, that is upward, in upward direction it has been acting, and it is making an angle of 30 degrees. Again there is a Q force is also there, which is 100 newtons, but it is not making an angle with x or y axis. It is just vertical along y axis. Whereas 40 Newton force is there, R force is there, which is having a magnitude of 40 Newton. Again it is making an angle of 30 degrees with vertical. It is making an angle of 30 degrees with the vertical. Again next force is S force. So S force is of 80 newtons, which is making an angle. First we have to find out its angle. So here this distance is 3 is the horizontal distance it has been given, and vertical distance as 4 it has been given. That means it is given in the form of slope. It has been given in the form of slope. So we have to find out the angles for this. We have to find out the angles for this 3 by 4. We have to find out the angles. Again last, that is the force T, it has been given. Its intensity is 53 newtons. Again it is having a slope of 1:2. That is it is given in the form of slope. That is 1 is the horizontal distance and 2 is the vertical distance. So these two, that is the force S 80 newtons and the force T 53 newtons. So in these two forces it has been given in the form of slope. So we'll see how to find out its components, or how to find out its angle. So we will see the slope also. Okay. So next, while finding out the angle, first we will solve the problems related with the angles. So here this angle is directly given, this angle is directly given, but these two angles it has indirectly given. So how to find out the angle made by this 80 newtons with the help of this 4 and 3, that is the horizontal distance is 3 and vertical distance is 4 in the form of slope. So one thing it has been kept in mind, this is the original figure is this. One thing it has been kept in mind while finding out its slope or while finding out its angle, first we will transfer, or it should make an angle with theta with horizontal. So I am making theta, that is 1. Okay, theta 1 with horizontal. So it is making an angle of theta 1 with horizontal. So we have to make an angle of theta 1 with horizontal. Always keep in mind when it has been given in the form of this slope, horizontal and vertical distance. So we have to find out or angle to be made with horizontal. That means we are making an angle with horizontal. So I am drawing a separate figure for this. So here there is a figure for this, in which this angle is theta 1. So I am giving the name as theta 1. Okay. Whereas this distance is 3, this distance is 4. So we are finding out, or we are converting this slope into theta form. So how to find out this angle theta? So tan theta, we can use the formula as tan of theta 1, that is equals to tan of theta 1 is equals to opposite upon adjacent. The opposite in this case is 4 and adjacent in this case is 3. So therefore theta is equals to tan inverse of theta 1 is equals to tan inverse of 4 by 3. So tan inverse of 4 by 3. So what the values it has been calculated? So tan inverse of 4 by 3, so it comes to be theta 1 as the value as 53.13. Okay. So you can find out this value 53.13. So 53.13 is nothing but the angle as theta 1. Same way we can find out the angle as theta 2 also. So tan of theta 2, so we can also find out the angle as tan of theta 2. Okay, sorry, we can find out that angle as tan of theta 2 also. So again we can transfer this, we can have angle made with horizontal axis. Okay. So here we will have the angle made with vertical or horizontal axis. So we can transfer this, we can make this angle along vertical axis also. Okay. So if we are imagining this triangle, if we are giving we can slide this 3 by 4. So if it is slide in this way, so it is making an angle with horizontal, so we can transfer this horizontal here also. So this angle will be theta 1. We can transfer the angle here also. So this angle is theta 1. If we are here in this case, we are finding out the angle theta 1 with vertical axis. Okay, so here I am giving this theta 2 with vertical axis. That means I am again drawing the figure for the separate figure for this, in which this angle I am transferring here theta 2. Okay, what about the distances? 2 and 1 is the distances as it is. So that means this theta 2, it is making an angle, this is inclined force, and with vertical it is making an angle of theta 2. That means we can transfer this theta 2 here also. Okay, if it is making with vertical, so then we can transfer by similarity of triangles here also. Okay, so this theta 2 I have transferred here, and this theta 1 it is making an angle with horizontal, so I have transferred here. So for convenience you can it can make an angle with horizontal as well as in vertical. Okay, but here when we are sliding this block in this directions, so suppose this vertical is parallel to this horizontal is parallel to this, so we are making an angle, this inclined is making an angle with vertical, so this inclined is making an angle with vertical theta 2. So we are finding out tan of theta 2. So tan of theta 2, how to find out? Opposite upon adjacent. The opposite in this case is 1. Okay, and adjacent in this case is 2. So 1 upon 2. So 1 upon 2, it comes to be tan of theta 2 1 upon 2. So theta 2 is equals to tan inverse of 1 by 2. So theta 2, that is equals to 26.56 degrees. Okay, degrees. So in this way we have calculated theta 1 and theta 2. Theta 1 value is 53.13, which is making an angle with horizontal, and theta 2 we have calculated as 26, which is making an angle of with vertical. Okay, so for convenience we can transfer this along vertical or along horizontal. It depends upon your simplifications. So we have taken this theta 1 along horizontal and theta 2 along vertical for convenience. If we slide this triangle, so this while sliding this triangle, it will make an angle with vertical. While sliding this triangle towards the center, it is making with horizontal. Okay, after that we will resolve this into two components. So resolving these forces along two components, so this is important. So here I am directly preparing all this along the same. Okay, this 200 Newton P, it is acting away from the point, whereas this 200 Newton is the force P, it is having a magnitude of 200 Newton. So while resolving this, it is making an angle of 30 degrees with horizontal. While resolving this, it is converted into two components, x and y axis. So as it is in first quadrant, that means this is the x component of this 200 Newton will be along these directions, and 200 Newton, its y component will be along these directions. So that means it is occurring it is this P force, it is along the first quadrant. That means this will be its x component, this will be its y component. So I am just drawing a small figure for x and y component here itself. Okay, so I am drawing a small figure x and y component here. Okay, so 200 is the force. Again, which component will be cos theta and which component will be sin theta? So as this 200 Newton, it is making with horizontal 30 degrees, so horizontal component will be cos 30. So here I am taking as cos 30. Okay, what about this? Remaining will be sin 30. So I am keeping here and I am writing here as 200 sin 30 degrees. Okay, this concept is clear. Okay, 200 sin 30. Next, what about this Q force 100 Newton? So it is acting vertically upwards. So there is no it will not be resolved. Why it is not resolved? Because it is vertical. Okay, so it will have only y component. There is no x component of this Q force 100 Newton. What next is resultant force? For R force, which is having an intensity of 40 newtons. Again, it is acting. It will be along second quadrant. So second quadrant, that means if we are dividing this into two components, so for this force this will be its x component, for this force this will be its y component. Okay, but this 40 Newton, it is making an angle of 30 degrees with y axis. That means y component will be cos theta and x component will be sin theta. So again the same way we are drawing the forces along the same line. Okay, so it is making an angle of 30 degrees. This 40 Newton is making an angle of 30 degrees with vertical. So vertical component will be cos theta. So I am first writing down the vertical component. Why? Because it is making an angle of cos of 30 degrees. Okay, this will be 40 sine of 30 degrees. Same way, what about next force? Next force is 80 newtons. Okay, so this 80 Newton, again it is making an angle of theta 1. So theta 1 is 53.13. So this theta 1 is 53.13. So it is making an angle of 53.13 with horizontal. So here again we have to draw, we will resolve this third quadrant. 80 Newton is acting along third quadrant. So this is nothing but the force. So it will have its x component horizontal in horizontal directions, and this inclined force it will have vertical components. Okay, these are the two components, horizontal force and vertical component. Okay, so again we will resolve this into two components. So I am, for convenience we are directly resolving along the directions. Okay, while resolving you have to see the directions also. It is away from the point, so we are producing it's away from the point. These all forces are away from the point. Okay, in some cases it is towards the point. So with the help of we have to see and we have to solve as per the directions also. It is making an angle of theta 1 with horizontal. The horizontal component will be cos theta. So 80 cos of theta 1 and 80 sine of theta 1. Okay, next is again this third force is nothing but 53 newtons. Again it is making an angle of theta 2 with vertical. Okay, so it is making an angle of theta 2 with vertical. So this force will be again having fourth quadrant. It is acting along fourth quadrant. It will be resolved in two components. Again this force will be resolved in two components. First will be horizontal and next will vertical. Okay, so I am drawing the forces. So as it is making an angle of with vertical, the first vertical components will be cos theta. So 53 cos of theta 2 and 53 sine of theta. Okay, then one by one we will solve the problems and we will find out its value. So what is things to be calculated next? Next is important is we will find out the resultant. We are finding out the resultant for this. Okay, so in order to find out the resultant, so first we will find out the resultant for this figure. One by one we will first add all the x components, next we will add all the y components, and then we will find out the resultant. Okay, so first I am finding out the x component. So summation of fx is equals to all x components. Okay, summation of all x components. We will find out all x components first. So fx is equals to, first force is 200 Newton. So its x component. X component is this 200 cos 30 degrees is the x component. It is moving right side. So this graph itself indicates the directions. Okay, right side is taken as positive, upside is taken as positive. This will be negative x-axis, negative x-axis, and this will be negative y-axis. So it is moving towards right. So we will have the sign conventions also for this. So right side is taken as positive, left side is taken as negative. Okay. The first force is 200. So 200 is acting right side. So 200 cos of 30 degrees. This is first force with plus sign. What about second force? Second force is Q. It doesn't have its X component. It is only Y component. So here this Q 100 Newton will not be used here. Why? Because we are finding out only the X component. Next 40 Newton. Yes, 40 Newton is having its X component. Okay, but its X component is parallel to this and it is left side. So what is the direction for this left side? The left side is taken as negative. So 40 sine of 30. So this will be minus 40 sine of 30 degree. Okay. Third force 80 Newton. It is having again its X component. X component again it is left side. So negative minus 80 cos of theta 1. So I am directly putting the value of theta 1. So theta 1 is 53.13 degrees. Okay. Next is again the X component, last X component. It is this right side plus 53 is the force sine of. What is the angle theta 2? So theta 2 is 26.56 degree. So you can calculate, you can solve or you can find out all these values with the help of the calculator. So I am having directly the value for this summation of all X component directly after calculations. It comes to be 120. You can tally this answer. So it comes to be 128.90 and all forces are in Newton. Okay. So in this way we have calculated all X components. Same way we will calculate all Y components. Same way we will find out all Y components also. Okay. The next is nothing but its Y component. What is the sign convention used for this? Upside, positive, downward, negative. One by one. For P force, this force 200 sine, it is upside. Upside here positive. So 200 sine of 30 degrees, positive sign. Next force Q, which is directly acting at vertically. So directly we will take this as plus 100. Okay. Second force. Third force is 40 cos of 30, again plus. Next is minus 80, this force, minus 80 sine of theta 1. Theta 1 in this case is 53.13 degree. Again this last force 53. So minus. Why minus? Negative, downward directions. Force is 53 and cos of theta 2. Theta 2 is 26.56 degree. Put the values, find out this plus 200 sine 30 degrees plus 100 plus 40 cos 30 degrees minus 80 sine 53.13 degrees minus 53 cos of 26.156 degree. So this value for summation of Fy. So this value it comes to be 1, 2, 3.23 newtons. So in this way we have calculated the x component and y component for this. This is nothing but y component, and this we have already calculated as x component. This as x component. So in this way we have calculated its x and y component. Okay. Next is last step, second last step is to find out the resultant. So R is equals to, our formula for resultant is summation of fx square and summation of fy square. So just resultant fx is also positive, fy is also positive. That means x component is fx, addition of all x component is 128 plus. That means it will lie in first quadrant. What is y? It is again summation of all y component is positive. That means it will lie in first quadrant. That means it will lie in first quadrant. So we will see and we will find out the resultant for this. 128.90, that is square, plus 123.23, that is square. What is the resultant value for this? So it comes to be 178.32 newtons. So R is equals to 178.32 newtons. The one thing it has been fixed, it lies in the first quadrant, because x component and y component both are that is having positive sign. It will lie in first quadrant. But what is the angle made by this resultant? How to find out the angle made by the resultant? So it will be theta is equals to tan inverse of. So when it is fixed, when this is fixed that it lies in first quadrant, that means I am drawing the resultant for this. So this is resultant somewhat here, intermediate of this. This is all x components, because its value is positive. All x component, all y components, this all x component, all y components, and this resultant lies in first quadrant. So we have to find out the theta angle made by this resultant with x-axis. So how to find out this? If we are dotted, the opposite side is y, opposite upon adjacent is fx. So summation of fy by summation of fx. Therefore theta is equals to tan inverse